You all right?
Yeah, good.
Nice. Can we all hear each other soundly?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Boosh. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Yeah. Actually, I get sleep more than you, so I'm happy. Christ.
Yeah, man. It's cool though. It's cool. This is like the test. This is me firing on all pistons. Like 2 kids. I'm not gone back to work yet. I'm still on pat leave, and then doing all the roadrunner shit, calling the US every fucking night. I had my first Australian interview yesterday, which is fun.
That's cool.
It was cool. It was the guy. I can't find anyone from Carnivore. It was Pete Steele's first band before Typo Negative, and I couldn't find like how they got signed to Roadrunner. So I was like, I don't know how the fuck I'm going to find this out. And then I find this dude called Richard Termini who plays synth on their album. He played synth on Cyndi Lauper's Girls Just Want to Have Fun, and he made a lot of short films. He's like the picture of a life well lived. So I was like, dude, can you just like tell me how that band you played with once got signed? And he was like, yeah. So we sat and chatted shit for an hour. But yeah, that was my first 9 a.m. interview while he was having his tea.
Fucking hell.
Awesome. That is so cool.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Hey, man, how are we going to do this? Because we said kind of no rules, didn't we? And I'm happy with no rules. And we sort of determine what the best one is afterwards.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, your Trooper label is way cooler.
Trooper's got girth, mate. It's a special edition label, and I'm pretty sure it's not a different thing. I'm sure it's the same drink.
No,
are you sure?
One. I do love how the Trooper lids, like the little caps, they've all got different images on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Ali, I'm fairly satisfied. By which I mean I can't see anything indicating that this is anything beyond what it usually is.
Do they have?
And it does say special edition label.
I think they've done. I think the Robinsons have done other ones. I think they've done ones for like Help Heroes and stuff like that as well. And
yeah.
So I don't know.
Light Brigade is a Help for Heroes one.
Yeah, that's the one. Because it's just like it's on the horseback, isn't it? I've seen images of it, and
that's right.
But then, as long as it's, I don't know, because it just says premium British beer on the front. And I'm like,
I don't know how I feel about Trooper. Like, I've always been like, fuck, it's so cool. It's like, yeah, it's the Iron Maiden beer. That's awesome. And then I try it, and I'm just like,
yeah.
But like,
you know what though? I think it's like
I've had many a night on this one.
I've never tried this one. This is new to me.
One of my favourite bars in London, which is like called Garlic and Shots, right? It's like a fucking super old dive bar, and the entire food menu is just garlic, and they've got like 60 different shots.
They like last to the meeting of like names for bars. They were like, oh, we'll just take the garlics and shots.
No, mate, they're all vampire hunters.
Yeah, but like it is kind of like Vampire Style Bar. It's like a gothic bar, but like it's probably one of the best bars, dive bars you'll ever go to.
And of course you go to that bar. Of course you go to that bar.
Yeah, because the great thing about it is in Soho, so it's like right around the corner from GAY. So if I want to go to my road crew lager, I can fuck off and listen to Britney Spears as well after I've listened to Megadeth. Like, but this stuff's great. I love this stuff.
Oh, I accidentally picked up the Overkill as well, though, which is the Pilsner.
Nice.
I'm going to order some of that.
Nice. I think this meeting will time out because there's 3 people on it, but I've also got another 3-way interview happening, so I'll sort that. Don't worry. How do I do it? Should we do 1, 2, 1, 2? So unless one of you guys opened one already.
So shall we?
I've not opened any yet.
Excellent, perfect. So if you're just joining us, beloved viewer, listener, what the intention of this project is to determine which is the best band branded beer available in the UK, and we're doing that through some sort of tournament setting, which is a thinly veiled excuse to chat shit about booze, basically, for an hour. The issue that we're facing at the minute is due to political strife in the United Kingdom. At the time of recording, is supply lines to the main EU supplier have been fucked. So where today we should have been tasting some of the more exotic that the market has to offer, we're now just dealing with what Morrison's has. So we're a little bit shafted, but it's okay. And today's contenders are Trooper, Maiden's Trooper, Brew by Robinsons, and Motorhead's Road Crew. My experience with Road Crew tends to be on tap. I've never had the bottled one before. I became aware of it roughly the same time as Trooper, which I reckon was like 2013. I think that's when it started hitting the press, and I remember going to download that year, and they had this on tap, and it was like a big deal. And every time I've been to a Maiden gig since then, they've pretty much stacked whatever venues bar with it. Whereas Motörhead Road Crew tends to be like, every bar I've been in where they've served that is because they've got fucking cool people behind the bar, and that's not like an exaggeration or like that's not hyperbole. That's just like every cool bar has it for some reason.
Yeah, you don't find it in like, you wouldn't find it in like a Spoons or like some crappy pub. Like this is always in like a dive bar that's really there for like, you know, the people who fucking love rock music and heavy metal and stuff, and that's where I've usually found Road Crew. And I think it's a great beer. Trooper, you'll find anywhere. But this stuff's great. Yeah. I'd love to try it on draft. I've only ever had it in bottle form.
Well,
I think should we start with Trooper then?
Yeah. Let's start with this one.
I was about to say, I think I found Trooper in Lidl once before. I think it was on offer. That's how common it is.
They've done a really good job at getting it all out there. Because I remember when it first came out, and they're like, "Yeah, Iron Maiden's doing a beer," and now it's pretty big.
So who's got it? Who's got it cold? Who's got it cold and who's got it warm?
I've got it warm.
I've got it cold.
Mine's warm.
I got it cold.
I was going to say, is there like, in your capacity as hospitality experts, is there an etiquette to how this should be done? Should it be done cold, and should it be? Can I remember like
Beer's cold.
I always have all my ales cold. Yeah, I always have all of them cold. I remember Hobgoblin did like a campaign when I think it was like Barack Obama came over, and I remember that I think he was having a beer with David Cameron or something. I think Hobgoblin took pictures, and Barack Obama wasn't fond of like warm Hobgoblin. So Hobgoblin were like, "What's wrong, Mr. President? Are you afraid you'll taste something?" And that was like a big sort of slogan for a summer, which is good fun. But I didn't know it was meant to be enjoyed warm. I always make them cold.
Yeah, no, like pretty much everything should be cold unless it's supposed to be made hot. But like, rule of thumb is, if it's a beer, it's cold. Like,
oh, you got Guinness served cold. I mean, like if anything, that's the most traditional sort of beer or whatever that's about. And if they have it cold, then surely everything else is, you know, like that's the same idea. But you know, everyone should have it cold.
So, yeah, but it could also be like.
I miss Guinness so much. I miss Guinness. Like whenever we go into lockdown, this being lockdown number 3, or tier 3, or wherever the fuck we are now, the one thing I miss is draft Guinness.
Definitely.
I've been missing the, especially with 2 kids now. It's like one thing I like to do with the one kid was like, fucking what a day. Strap the kid up and go to the pub. Not having a bender or anything, but just having 1 or 2. Bit of a natter and then go home. And it's like a really good way to break the day, especially when you work in like the industry I work in. It's just a good way to sort of break the scenery. But I think I'm feeling it now. I'm feeling a lot more than last time I spoke to you. But then again, I've been doubling down on shit, haven't I? So I'm like, I'm probably near to death and I don't know it.
I think we all are, mate. So like, Trooper's drinkable, like it's smashable.
Definitely smashable. How are we thinking about, well, tell you what, the variety of labels could play into our ratings here. So mine is the Day of the Dead. It's definitely the same, by the way. It's definitely the same beer. Yeah, it definitely tastes the same as.
You just got a way cooler label.
I clearly got the Halloween run. That's what I got.
Shows how many people buy it.
I think that looks pretty cool. I quite like the variety in that sense, but I mean, it's too early to compare to the Road Crew, but Road Crew is sort of elegant in its simplicity. And I think that reflects Motorhead as a band and as a brand quite accurately as well.
If you do the pass out test, right, which is like this. So like there's like a few things that I'm like, right. So say someone found my body in like a nice hotel room. What do I want to be surrounded by? Empty bottles of champagne or empty cans of Foster's? I'm going to pick champagne. So when it comes to these, which one would I rather be surrounded by? Motorhead looks way cooler.
Well, just from a graphic design perspective, I mean, you're already going to be working off with Iron Maiden. You've got Eddie on there, standard. You're always going to have that. That's a good, that, you know, you can just take any image of him. Fantastic. and then they've already got their own like type font anyway. They've already got like that sort of Russian slice like sort of thing, and like it kind of goes really well. So like Robinson's like graphics team basically don't have to do much in order to make the label look cool. They've already got 2 winning factors there. So
like you can see that they've definitely won some awards. If you look at like the label on your bottleneck, you'll see there's 3 medals. So it looks like
I don't see that on my super special one. Can you hold it to the camera? Oh yeah, I see. Yeah.
So it looks like I think they've got like a gold and 2 silvers. So that might also be a gold. But it says 2015, 2016, and then I fuck, I've got no idea what the last one says. I think this is 2000 and something.
well, I think on both bottles you need to have a fucking pair of glasses on because you get so much writing on the back. Like, who the hell's gonna read that? Like some lonely man in a bar, like just drinking on themselves, like just this essay. I mean, it's the kind of thing you'd want in the toilet when you haven't got your phone on you.
It's like reading the bleach bottle, isn't it?
Yeah, it's reading the shampoo bottle, and you're like, oh yes.
I see the bottles of Métis in Stoke. Oh,
like you're looking at it, you're like, oh, vegans. Oh, actually, is it vegan friendly or like what?
I'm not gonna lie, the story on this bottle, the Road Crew bottle, is way cooler than the Trooper bottle.
No, man. Like, if you're a history buff, the Chargers of the Light Brigade is quite an interesting, foolhardy escapade. Yeah, it depends what you go for. I guess in its essence, these two are quite good to put against each other for these kind of reasons. Yeah.
I mean, first off, the beer, I do like the beer. I think the beer is nice. I think it's to me, it's nothing different. It just seems like a nice beer. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't. I can't really put anything to my, straight away to it. So
it's not offensive to the tongue. It's not got like an after. It's not got like an after kick like say Nuki Browns do. Like Nuki Browns, tastes nice, and then after a second of drinking it, you feel like, all right, have I been licking cement? What's this about? I guess in that sense, its personality, and maybe it relies on the image a bit.
But that's what all branding is in regards to beers anyway. You're looking at a can. Same with wine. So you only going by the price of the label and what the bottle looks like. So same with beers right now. And right now, Trooper seems to be like a default setting to me. Just seems to be like, this is where we're going to sort of judge other beers from, is going to be this. And I think it's a good one to start with. Like it's a big bowl, like exactly like Nuki Brown, and graphics are all right. Taste is all right. Price, what was the price of it?
I got like 4 for £6 is what I bought mine. Yeah,
4 for £6, and this was 160 a go, I think.
Yeah,
I think. So they're approximately the same, aren't they? So you just get a lot more out of the. Like I say, Maiden's girthier.
Yes, it is.
Something you two would know about.
But then both say that they've had influence from the band, and I'm like, how much though?
I think the influence from the band is they had a tasting session with the band the day before the production line went out, and if they were told they had right of veto, but there was so much pressure placed on them that it would have been awkward to say no.
It's more like here's going to be the not royalties, but here's the financial aspect of it. Do you want to stop that? No, keep going. No, I'm all right with that. Like, I don't think Motorhead's going to release a new album anytime soon, so.
They still managed to blast out a cover album, and they tend to blast out a live album every so often. Did you see Motorhead when they were about?
No, I missed them.
No, no.
I'd have killed to have seen Motorhead.
Oh man, I was very fortunate.
One of the fucking loudest gigs you can go to is a Motorhead gig.
Yeah, I remember last time I saw him, it must have been 2013 at Download. I've seen him a few times before that. I know it was shit-faced, fucking twatted. And they brought fast, I think it was Phil Taylor, Filthy Animal Taylor, who's like part of the Ace of Spades lineup. They brought him on stage, and then and he was just fucking he was absolutely battered. It was ace.
The great thing about Ace of Spades is that you don't need to be sober to sing that song. You just no, like you could have done that, and I think everyone would have just been too fucked and too happy to listen to it.
That's one hell of a fast bass and drum on that. That is proper thrash. And like it's just so good. Like my other half hates that music, and I had that on in the car. And he's like, "What is this shit?" And I'm like, "It's fucking great." You don't understand. I'm like going like 50 or 30. Like, oh god, calm down now.
I don't know, like you fucking put on a song like that or any kind of like thrashy metal song, you just start speeding.
As soon as you hear it come in, everyone knows what it is. It's just straight off, like so iconic.
It's one of the bands where they're kind of in a way like the first crossover band, because if you went to a Motorhead gig, you'd see the metalheads, like the old school metalheads, but you'd also see all the old school punks as well, like proper.
Yeah, right.
And of both those camps, no one's fucking about. It's Mohawks and 25 stone lads with leather jackets on. It's like no one's fucking about here. They're smashing into each other like the lives depended on it. It's really, it's an eclectic mix of people for an eclectic band, and it works because it was just relentless. Would there
be mosh pits at a Motorhead gig? I mean, that's later on, of course, but I'm saying like when they were like still doing stuff like at Download, would there be a mosh pit when Motorhead were playing or not?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You couldn't go see Motorhead and not have a fucking circle pit or a wall of death, like, you know.
And it was like Slayer pits are like the notoriously like this is gonna get rough. Motorhead's also up there. It's there's I've been to like about 5 Iron Maiden gigs when I was about like 10 and 12 years old in Scotland at the SECC. And I was too young to be in the crowd, so I'd always be seated. I saw them like 5 years in a row or something silly like that, where I can't remember. But from the myth is it was never a pit; it's always a crush, big crush. Seriously, it's not a lot of pits, but a lot of crushing. Yeah, how have you guys been anyway? What's the crack with the pump room?
Ali's been doing some very cool designs recently. Very, very cool designs.
Well, we can probably say it here, to be honest.
Yeah, totally, man. So
basically, we'd always have like a spirit, or like, you know, we team up with a brand. So Crest is like the main sort of connection with brands, talking to people and that, which has helped me out a ton, because there's no way that I'd be able to get brands on board. And one of the brands that we've worked with now is Brew, who do purees and syrups. So, for example, they have a huge range. They've got like coconut cream, ginger, agave syrup. They got like pumpkin, passion fruit, mango, lychee, blueberry, raspberry, strawberry, everything, like literally everything. And I have no idea what to do with them, because I only got like 4 of them. So I've got blueberry, raspberry, black cherry, and peach. And so I thought, oh, well, like peach is interesting. And then this is like, we were talking about this at the episode, and this was at the point when Trump was coming out, like President Trump was getting like an impeachment, like the second one. And I was like, aha. I was like, I've got a bit of graphic design background. I've made up the exact logo of the Real squeezy bottle, and I've just put his face on it and called it like impeachment. And it's just like, yeah, it's just something.
Chris has just sent it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's a thing of beauty.
It's ridiculous. It's just this orange face.
I sent it to like a few like bartenders, like bigwigs, whatever in our industry. I was like, what do you think? Are we gonna get in trouble? And they're like, if you get in trouble, it means they have no fucking sense of humor, and you shouldn't do it. Also, this is brilliant. Like, a lot of people love the design, so we're thinking potentially doing like a run on like maybe 10, 15 t-shirts, do a run, because like, I'd fucking love to have a t-shirt like down the back or something with like a pump room logo on the front.
Yeah,
I think it's so cool. Like,
that's awesome.
And like you pretty much banged it out today, didn't you?
I did it in about a couple of hours. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, well done.
Cheers, man.
Well done.
But it's just funny when you do stuff like that, when you just take. I like one of the cocktails that we did was based around the like a touring car, the Ford Capri. So I made up like a false like trump card, you know, like a top trump card, which was like just the all the stats and everything like that. So I enjoy doing things like that, where it's like literally trying to mimic it exactly as what it should be than making it false. So it was really, it was quite funny. We'll see how it goes. But I think the drink, I think what we're going to do is we're going to do a drink which is like an American drink, but it's not American because it was made by an Irishman. So we're just going to take I think we're just going to take the piss out of Trump during the whole time, during the show, because I hope he gets impeached.
Well, he's been impeached.
It's the
guilty, don't he?
Oh, he goes to prison.
His trial's next week or something.
Yeah, so like it's the first impeachment didn't go through, but the second one I think is going through now, and that's the one that's going to trial.
It went through. It's just that he was not criminally charged for his actions. Yeah. So if you're impeached, you're impeached. But the idea of the second impeachment is, look, we don't want this piece of shit having, the presidential after job benefits such as a pension and a security detail and stuff. So we want this to go through regardless, even if he doesn't get, criminally charged, as long as it's regarded as impeached for a second time. Not to get too political. Well, who gives a shit? It's as a sense in the British sense of fair play. We like to see billionaires get fucking shat on. So,
well,
sorry, Donald.
It's just funny the fact that like he's just all talk, and it was like, and if you look at it like a TV show, the last 4 years in America, it was a great finale. It was a good. It's like, but that's what it was. It was just pure entertainment from an outsider's perspective.
It was boss battle, wasn't it?
Well, it's just
the shit that came out of that man's mouth. You were like, you're like the man in charge. Like, Boris Johnson fucking sucks. But like, could you imagine if he said half that shit? Like, you'd just be like, whoa.
I remember when he was first coming about, and I was like, I kind of want him to go in, not because I want Donald Trump to be in, but it's like, I think it'll wake everyone else up to whatever was lying dormant in their activities and their political activities and reasoning. It will become awakened over those 4 years, and that seems to have happened. Well, only time will tell. But
well, imagine if a year of Biden before he pops his clog and Kamala Harris takes control.
Yeah, it's a safe bet. But yeah, how are you guys getting on? I'm on my last quarter.
I'm like,
same.
Not same. Like this is a snatchable beer. Like, wouldn't be mad at this. It's also like out of all the metal beers, this one's probably done like the best.
In terms of like,
when it comes to marketing, definitely. Like in the UK, I couldn't really speak for the States, but like this stuff is like, we've seen it around for years, absolute years. It's on draft and stuff. Like some of my favorite fucking rock buddies, like the Dev in Camden, they've got it on draft and stuff. Crowbar had it on draft.
I've got some for you in a weird way.
You all right, Ali?
I'm good.
You missed me?
I'm not missing your face is what I was about to say. I'm not missing it.
Just missing my butt.
No, because you honestly made the worst farts ever.
I don't fart.
No, if you've been having milk or any cheese or anything like that.
Never mind, I'll show it another time.
That's okay. We were just talking about Cress's farts. That's what we were talking about.
Oh, that's fine.
I recently realised that I'm lactose intolerant.
Oh, no.
Well, I don't really listen to it because, like, fuck you, cheese is great, and, like, just let me eat what I want to eat. If I have anything with dairy in it before I shoot, like, that's it. Game over. Ali has, like, the worst shoot ever.
Yeah. So what are you going to show us? Sorry.
So Maiden played Leeds in the 2017 Leeds Arena. And what they tend to do is when they play a city is there's a nominated bar, presumably one with a strong relationship with Robinsons, and they have like a pre-show party. And also they had one at the Head of Steam in Leeds. And I went down the next day and said, because they had all this bunting up and all this just fucking tat, and I'm like a massive Maiden fan, so I can have some of that. And they're like, yeah. So I had a load of bunting. It's somewhere in that filing cabinet, and a load of beer mats. So I was just going to show them off.
Oh, that's fucking awesome, man. God, like I love Maiden. Like I fucking adore Maiden. I've never seen them, and that is like one of the things that's like really high on my list.
Yeah, man.
Apocalypse.
I've had beers with them a few times.
You've met them because you're.
Yeah, I've met them a few times. My dad knows them, so I've met them a few times.
Look at your face. You're like, you what?
That's when I was like 12, and I was having a beer with them with the spoons after the show, and well, I think I was having a J2O.
Spoons.
Oh, my dad's big in football, and so but he like
Steve
I've seen
Harris
him.
and
He captained England, my dad. So, but
Really?
so yeah. So he knows. I don't know how he got in friends. I think he got friends with the tour manager, and then just got sort of. We just like every time they were up in Scotland, Glasgow wasn't that far away from us, so we just go to each of the shows and that and get tickets and yeah, I think I've seen them at Twickenham as well, and then I saw them afterwards.
how's that one?
I think when was that? It must have been
2008.
Jesus.
It's caught somewhere back in time tour.
Yeah, Jesus. Actually, there's a video of my dad rocking out at that show. Like someone's like videoing us from behind, so it's like me and my brothers are at that show, and they're like, oh look, it's like Terry Butcher, like he's like enjoying Maiden. And I was like 18 years old. Shit. Crazy. Yeah, no, but yeah, absolutely love Maiden, but I'm glad I never saw Motorhead ever. So
now it feels like whatever we come out with, that we're biased towards Maiden because we all have a special relationship somehow with that band.
They didn't make the beer personally, did they? It was Robinson's. So I mean, to be honest with you, I would. I've not even tried the other one, but this is a standard beer for me right now. I feel like this is a nice beer. It's a good. It's nothing offensive. It's nothing amazing, but it's a good beer.
I think
you take it to meet your family, but like you wouldn't marry it, but you'd take it to meet your family.
It depends on what kind of drink you are. I mean, like first impressions before we move on to Road Crew is like it's a good smashable beer in the sense that if you had a plan for a night out, it's like we're going to start at A and we're going to end at Z. You could probably go smashing every bar and keeping pace with this because it's not too offensive on the palate, but neither is it so poignant in any particular sense that it's going to sit in the back of your throat and make you feel sick if you have too many of them.
Yeah,
it's a smashable beer.
It's a great size, fucking 500 mils.
Is it a great size, Ali?
It's a good size and it's a good price as well. I mean, I think this is like we were talking about, like marketing wise. This is old reliable. This is like like £4 for £6 of Morrison's, and you like get it on draft. You it's going to be there. So I feel this is a good sort of like trusty Old Faithful. This is like I don't know how to explain it any way than that. It's just that it's there. It's going to be there. But yeah, you're not gonna be like wowed by it. When you see it, you're going to be like, "Oh my God, Trooper!" You're going to be like, "Oh, look, it's there. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
What else is on offer before I go back to that and buy it?"
I'm quite impressed with the beer selection of Morrison's.
It's good, isn't it?
It's got like a load of random shit.
There's no Behemoth Sacrum though, is there? It's no good to us.
Or AC/DC or any of that stuff. Like, have you got a dispatch notification yet? Because I don't.
Fuck no, I don't either.
I just threw it into the ether and I was like, okay. It would be so funny, like a year from now, these beers just show up.
We should do a review of that. We should definitely do a review of that side of things, because I thought I'd got it nailed with urban drinks, but I guess it's...
Well, if shit hits the fan, I know places that you can get the Motorhead wine and the Motorhead whiskey and all that shit. I was going
to send this earlier. There's a place called Metal on Wine or Wine on Metal. It's literally a website. There's another EU supplier, but it's all the wines and the whiskies, all of them, including the Motorhead ones. But yeah, I stole Gavin, by the way. I stole Gavin from Damnation Festival. He said he would have loved to come on, but he's too busy with cider and wine. And I was like, all right. So can I chat to you then in your capacity as a festival organizer and in my capacity as a live sound engineer? And he was like, yeah, right. So I'm going to do that. But that's why I asked if you were doing if you had anything in your pipeline that was close to like a wine thing, because then I was going to throw him your way.
We can do wine. Look, we are connoisseurs of intoxication and butts.
Well, if you wanted to do something like just interview people for the fuck of it, the three of us, I don't know, we could talk about it another time, but
yeah, man, totally. Like,
yeah,
we got to get you down south, which is the other side of the M25.
Yeah. Hey, man, I've been to your drag bars. They're great.
Oh, they are great. They're fucking class. Like, there's a couple down there. Like, there's one bar that I have not been to, which is like in Bournemouth. I don't know if Ali's been to it. Ali's probably been to it. Which is like called DYMK, which is like Does Your Mother Know? And I just think that's the coolest name for a gay bar.
I've actually not been to that because I don't want to get crabs. I don't want to get anything like dodgy like that because that's what Bournemouth like.
There's a beach. There's crabs everywhere.
Well, I mean genital crabs. No one wants that.
Crabs. So then just don't get your wiener out.
Well, that's hard at a gay bar. What do you expect me to do? Drink and dance? No. No.
Yeah. There's this great drag queen who I love because she's so rude. Like the word is just like a filler between words. You know, when you go, she just goes like she just says the word, and she's.
You might want to mark the time down on this video of when you need to bleep. I'll be honest with you.
Give it up.
Yeah,
that's all right.
But her name's like Lucinda Lashes.
I need to say
proper like she's got like a proper like South Coast accent and stuff, and I've never seen a queen swear as much as her, be as filthy as her, but be able to sing like Over the Rainbow to the point where it actually brings people to tears. Because it's such a great voice. It's just like, and yeah. So like, when like things get back to normal, we'll just take you to see this into Lashes, and then we'll take you to join.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Are we going to open the next one?
Let's do it.
So.
Brew.
Well, this does say it's an American Pale Ale.
Yeah, it changes the context somewhat, doesn't it? Oh, we are the Road Crew. How many times did I see Motorhead then? I saw them 2006 Wacken Festival. I saw them, I think the following year, Grasspop. I saw them 2010 in Leeds. I saw them again at Wacken, I think on one of those years, either between 8 and 10, I don't know. And then I saw them in 2013. Yeah. Phil Campbell and the Bastard, Phil Campbell being the Motorhead guitarist, has a band called Phil Campbell and the Bastard Sons, which is a band he has with his lads. And they're sort of doing like the club circuit end of this year, if everything's back to normal. It's pretty good, their new album.
God, man. I hope
zero objections. But yeah, let's take a first swig. Pale as fuck, I love pale.
Yeah. I was about to say, you can really tell it's an American Pale Ale.
Like, this is the whiskey, man.
Mm.
Buy the Motorhead whiskey now.
Well, actually, to be honest with you, right now, my husband is upstairs having a cigar, so now I've just got cigar smell and American Pale Ale, and this is like pretty good. So I'm quite happy with this.
Well, I wish I was with you.
It sits on the palate quite strong. It stays around, but it's kind of like fruity. It's a bit fruity. It's a bit high.
Oh yeah. What's the ABV? This is 5%.
Yeah, that one's 4.7.
4.7.
Yeah. This is special in a different way. I don't think. Oh yeah, I mean that was the first sip, but I don't think I could drink as many. If you line 20 bottles of beer in the wall, I could probably get more through more Maiden than I would through. I'd get fucking up. Already fucking my words up. I'd get through more of the Trooper than I'd get through of the Road Crew. I think.
Definitely, I agree with that.
Does that make sense?
I definitely agree with that. It's not the Trooper's not as dry and it doesn't feel as pale. Of course, because it's like a beer. It's just a beer, but as in like you could. This one, I think with the Road Crew, I take my time more. Don't know.
Completely.
Like Road Crew is something where I'm like, I want to drink. I want to be doing shots of whiskey with each beer. So I want to shoot him with each beer. But like I've spent nights with this and like, yeah,
whiskey might be an appropriate pairing,
They have their own whiskey, don't they? I've never actually tried it.
No, I've never tried that whiskey either. But like, just any whiskey. Like I like Scotch, but like bourbon's great too. But like, this is something that you just shoot with. It's smashable. But this one's a little bit. This is less argumentative. It's a little bit smoother.
Yeah,
I think this you could easily give to somebody who's just a pale ale drinker.
Yeah,
like you could easily be like, oh, just try this, and they might not even know who Motorhead is, but they'd probably be like, yeah, it's all right. But like the labeling looks badass and it looks pretty cool. Like to me, it's good. I mean, the only thing out of context on here is the actual brewery, which is Cameron's. And when you look at it, you're like, oh, this is really cool. And then it's like brewed by Cameron's, and you're like, okay, yeah, like it's there. But like besides that, it just looks pretty badass.
I I like the blurb on the back, which is like Lemmy Wheeler Road Crew as a tribute to his crew about his time as a roadie for Jimi Hendrix. He took 10 minutes to write this anthem whilst in a North London studio toilet, and his own immortal words, "It was the only quiet place in the building. I had an idea. I needed someone to work it through, and that is the only song I can remember writing in the toilet. I just love the life I lead. Another beer is what I need. Another gig. My ears bleed. We are the Road Crew." And I'm just like, man, like you just like for me, I'm down with that. I'm down with that statement. Like I totally drink this on the toilet.
Shower beer.
Shower beer.
Shower beer.
You know, like, could you imagine having like a little beer fridge like built into the wall with like one of them fucking lights in your shower, and you're like, yeah, shower beer.
I nearly did an ice bucket for this. And I couldn't be asked going outside to get the ice bucket, which is set on my outside. I say an outside bar. It's like a shitty pallet.
We've got one of them too.
Yeah. Our second bar's a pallet bar, man.
Yeah.
It's not a pallet. Mine's not a pallet bar though. It's literally like, I think the guy who used to live it had it as like maybe somewhere to store like seeding pots or something like that. And I just went, fuck that, and just drilled a bottle opener to the side of it and called it a bar.
Hey man, like bar's a bar. You can put booze on it and like have some mates around it, and then it's a bar.
You build it.
Got no mates, so haven't I?
you got kids. That's why.
Yeah,
just like there's nothing wrong with teaching a toddler how to stir a good martini or open a beer.
Hand-eye coordination skills. You'd be the worst mother.
I would be a sick mum. I'd be like Courtney Love vibes.
No, you'd be more like Britney vibes. Forget who they are.
It's good you. Howdy, y'all. Britney Spears. I wish I was Britney. I wish I had abs like Britney.
You're one more like lockdown away from shaving your head.
I am one lockdown away from shaving my head, but also like if I was Britney Spears, I'd change my name to like Shitney Beers or something like that.
I've been watching your show so much that now when I hear the theme tune, it's kind of like it's got a homely vibe for me now.
Well,
Yeah.
that was Chris's dad that wrote that.
Really?
Yeah.
Who does your dad know then, Chris?
My
He knows
dad,
a lot.
my dad had a band in the 90s called Stiltskin. So that was his band, and he had a number one. And so I grew up and toured with him.
Okay, let's give it a good old Googs. That rings a bell.
But actually, he did a lot of composing for commercials, didn't he, as well?
Oh, yeah, no, he did. He did like the World Cups, the Olympics, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fucking, like...
Oh, dude.
You know the BBC adverts when you had people like in red shirts dancing on rooftops or like in ribbons and stuff, or like, and it was like that was him. Stuff. But yeah, no, he had a band in the 90s called Stiltskin. So I grew up and toured with my dad.
You've got a studio. Your dad's got a studio at your house, and it's like I think I got introduced to it like, and it would have been like 2020. And I went in and it's just like, you would just be like jaw dropping. You'd be like, this is crazy. And he's like, I've just changed this mic a little bit and it sounds amazing. And I'm like, literally all of this is never what I will be able to own in my lifetime. It's just so amazing. It's just accumulation of great things. I mean, what was there? I want to say there's a bass from the Sex Pistols, but I could be wrong. No, there was...
There's a signed Johnny Rotten poster.
Right.
Oh, wait.
Like, there's a picture of him, but there's like one of Pete Townsend's guitars and stuff.
That was it. It was a Rickenbacker, wasn't it? Was there a Rickenbacker there? Or...
There is a Rickenbacker, but it's not Pete Townsend.
I thought it was. No, well, not Pete Townsend's the Jam. But I thought it was somebody else. Sorry, completely.
He's got some mental shit. That he's got a Trini. So you know Dave Grohl's Trini Lopez.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't make those anymore, and he's got the only other one that's really known about in the world.
Fuck it, I'm trying to find cool things in my house. Do you want to hear a fact about your dad's album, which he did with Stiltskin? It was mastered by a guy called Ted Jensen. Ted Jensen's an absolute powerhouse mastering engineer. So once you've got the mix down of a song and the bass is as loud as it needs to be and the keyboards are in there or whatever it is, that's kind of like the band consider the finished product, but then it gets sent to a mastering engineer who then basically makes those the macro changes to the song, which make it optimized for different speaker systems. So these days you go, right, well, you got your Bose systems on one, you got the car systems, you got headphones, you got shitty phone speakers, and he finds like an aggregate mix to optimize it for all those things. Ted Jensen's the guy that does that, and he's like an absolute legendary engineer. But the probably more interesting thing that he did is he mastered Metallica's Death Magnetic from 2008, which is notoriously awful because it's not his fault. It's not his fault at all. It was given to him overly compressed. There's this thing called the Loudness Wars. Strap yourselves in. It's a fucking absolute riveting time. This is the shit I fucking love. So Loudness Wars are it's like a record company initiative to get their bands to be the loudest. Simply, okay, fucking Huey Lewis and the News are coming out, great. We want their album to be pumping from cars, so the instruction to producers will be like, make it loud, make it loud, make it loud. And as we all know, the louder you make something, it might end up sort of like becoming static. It might become start clipping. The signal will start turning red, but they'd still go for it. And it ruined the fidelity and the dynamics of the song in favor of being loud. So when Metallica's Death Magnetic came around, they mixed it to that spec. Just make it as loud as fucking possible. As loud as possible. And Ted Jensen gets it and he's like, I can't fucking do it with this. Sends it out to the world shits on him. Guitar Hero 3 picks up licenses Metallica songs for their game, and they say, we can't use this. This is unusable. I'm sorry, it's just not going to work. Give us the original masters, as in like pre-Ted Jensen, and we're going to remix it for you. And now you can like have sound like comparisons side by side between what Metallica put out and was mastered by your dad's mate, and what was mastered by Ted, and then what Guitar Hero did with it, and it is night and day. It's really interesting. But anyway, he's the guy. He did your dad's album, and it was he's done thousands. He did
the album in '94 or some shit like that.
Yeah,
so
was,
like,
yeah.
He must have gone like shit over the year. So what? 14 years ago? Get on here.
I think we're sort of shadowed by our fathers in regards to football and music. So that's why we're just making drinks at a bar. like, oh yeah, you're going to be so successful. Now we're bartenders. That's what we do.
The fucking career, dude.
It's fun. But no, that's kind of crazy. I didn't realize that Guitar Hero, it was a Guitar Hero that sort of helped.
Yeah, well, the Guitar Hero has the best mix of Death Magnetic available. And Death Magnetic is like Metallica's big comeback album, Return to Thrash, Return to Form, and it was just delivered. The Loudness Wars are a fascinating thing.
That's interesting. Yeah, that is really, I never realized, but I never thought you'd be like Huey Lewis in the News and then go to Metallica after that.
Everything, hip hop, rap, all of it is like fall victim to the the Loudness Wars. Like, ask any producer that works in a multidisciplinary environment, they're like, oh yeah, it's a massive fucking problem, because their entire skill set is around understanding frequencies and dynamics and compression and the toolkits to make it sound as great as it can, and really flex the sound and make it, accommodate our ears, or make our ears accommodate it in more interesting and fulfilling ways. And then someone goes, nah, just make it louder.
Yeah, just turn it up to 11. Go for it.
Yeah.
I think I have issues with Crest during the pump room, peaking, really hitting it loud on some of it, and Christ is a nightmare. But I know, but from an audio perspective, when I'm editing the video, I'm like, ugh, I can't dub this. I can't do anything with this. So I'm like, screw it. I'm pitch shifting this, and I'm just making it stupid now.
I think Ali hears my voice more than my girlfriend hears my voice.
Oh God!
That's a terrifying fact.
Yeah, well, I think Christ, I don't hear you moan. God.
I get. I use I think it's I don't know what you call it, a mastering service or something. So whenever I finish a podcast, usually the levels between my mic and whoever I'm talking to, it'll happen with this one. It'll be different when I put it into Audacity, and I can't tell because I can't hear myself. I can only hear you guys. But I've put it into this thing that just processes the whole file and balances it all out, so it's all roughly the same. That seems to work really well.
Well, I think I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was really annoying because what they would have is, I think they had two different audio sources. So they'd have the the person that they were interviewing, and they would have the audio of themselves. But what they would do, they would try and sort of like switch between them. So if you think about two different clips,
no, they weren't panning it, were they?
They would go from one to the other. But when they would crossfade them together, they weren't synced properly. So you would get this echo effect between like when the person started repeating it. And these are the guys who are like, they've been number one on podcasts and iTunes. I'm not going to name who they are. And I love listening to them, but this is the first time they've done it. And I've literally gone, you've not listened, so.
Does it begin with a C and end with an R?
Yeah, well, it's 2 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so it's difficult. It's difficult when you're editing audio in regards to podcasts and things like this. It's like, I don't think I could do that. I can do silly little videos on YouTube. That's not a problem. That's easy.
You should take a leaf out of my book, Ali, and just go, right, just edit out the C word. Everything else is fair game.
I really don't know if we should just like stop bleeping, but I kind of enjoy having the bleeps.
It gives it like just like create like a comedic timing. It's like somewhat percussive, and it kind of shows people that I am paying attention. And some people say like they don't know I edit my podcast. It's like I do edit it. A lot of stuff gets put on the cutting room floor, loads of it, because people tell me stuff that's off the record a lot, and I have to respect that and put it on the floor. And that's not to me saying I'm fucking great at editing. It's just that I really like the long form. We're going to have an hour and a half long conversation about the business decisions around this fucking album, because that's what excites me. But people think because I do that there's no way I edit it.
But do you just want to have like all the information out there for somebody else, like you trying to find the information? So when you're like speaking to this guy from Australia, you just want to hear everything. So if someone wants to listen to yours to know about Roadrunner or something like that, you just give them all the information. Is that the idea? Like,
that's exactly
why cut it down?
That's
like
exactly.
Yeah.
So there's it's multifaceted, right? So the history of Roadrunner Records is completely unrecorded apart from anecdotally and word of mouth. So my entire mission is to create the academic foundation of which we can build an understanding of how they did what they did. And so that comes in the form of long form interviews, which is the primary source. It's everything's there in the form it's going to be there as it was told to me. The next bit is the narrative, which is the docuseries, which I'm working on chapter 1, which is why I look tired. If you saw the Great Cat video, that was like, all right, this is what it's going to look like now. I need to make sure that my computer can actually sustain a video and make it actually work. And then in the background, what I'm finding is there's people who I want to interview who aren't coming out of the woodwork until after the fact. So like this first chapter is going to be 1980 to 86, but I'm going to get people from 84 who aren't going to make themselves known to me until I've already got the video out.
Exactly.
So I'm doing a book in the background so they can go into that.
That's pretty sick, man.
And well, my background's academia, so it's like it has to have the sort of like academic integrity. Otherwise, when I die and someone else figures out there's something else going on with Roadrunner, they can't rely on my information if it's slapdash. It has to be, curated in a way as if it was a museum. But yeah, I'm glad you picked up on that, Ali, because that makes me feel warm.
No, I think that's the best thing. It's like, for me, it's like when I'm editing video for YouTube, like making a cocktail, I would ideally like to leave everything in there and show the whole thing like it is, just like here, just chatting shit and doing things like you were at a bar sort of thing. Like you're there, you're talking and stuff like that. But then I know that from a perspective of viewers, followers and things like that, you've got to cut it short because the attention span is very low. I mean, that's what it is nowadays, is that if, you got to try and capture it in video, it's different on podcasts, of course, but in video, it's like the first 10 seconds. If you haven't got anything interesting to say in the first 10 seconds, they're just going to skip. They're just going to see
it on the analytics, can't you? You can see like graph and just go, there's a shelf at 15 seconds in.
Like the runtime is like, it'd be like 8-minute runtime, but it'd be like 2 minutes. You'd be like, oh, fucking, I know exactly when they've stopped. I know exactly when they've cut off. And I'm like, oh, I should have edited that differently. But then actually, to be honest with you, I make the videos, I think, just for us, Chris. I mean, I enjoy actually looking back at them, even though I've seen them 500 fucking times. I will still look back and I'll actually be like, yeah, that was a good day. That was really funny. So I don't really...
I like the videos because they lead to sort of other things. And like, it's been like fucking just over 6 months now and we've gone to like 412 subscribers.
It's mad, isn't it?
And yeah, and like we've hit
organically, not even like
subscribers. Like we haven't paid for anything. And then when it comes to views, we've had 15,000 views in total. Like 15,000 people have watched our videos.
That's so cool.
And then if we go on to, but there's one video that like we didn't pay anything for it, but there was a video that we released a couple of weeks ago, which is just shot up. So we released one on Fireball, right?
Mm-hmm.
And literally it has 710 views. Which like,
I didn't even edit it well. I literally was just like slapdash, like just put this in. The only thing I think what got us the views was the fact is that you were fire breathing Ray and Nephew's overproof rum, which wasn't even like Fireball. You were literally like just breathing rum, and then it was like. And it was just the intro was just fireball, like literally epileptic fits of fireball. And then none of it happened during the show. It was just an intro. Like
we should do an episode on like how to breathe fire.
I think we're gonna have to.
You should do it.
One thing I really do like is like, so you look at the audience on Fireball. So like Fireball is the number one shot brand in the States. The number one. Like Jägermeister is like number 2 or 3. It doesn't fucking come close to Fireball. Like, so in Europe, Jaeger's like number 1. So 74.2% of the views come from the States on that Fireball video.
Wow.
But then you compare that to what our normal videos are, and probably about 5% of that is from the States, and the rest is from UK and potentially Europe. So it's like random that this one video that's done well has done well in the States. Makes no sense.
Like if I pulled up, I don't know, proper at the bar.
But then there's one which is Singani, which is a Bolivian. Is it a Bolivian drink?
Yeah, it's like a Bolivian like spirit or something.
And that's done well. And then people have disliked it, and I'm like, oh, cool, that's fine, that's not a problem. But like this random Bolivian spirit has done well on the view count because I don't think anyone else has done anything with it. I have no idea, but
there's nothing out there for it.
I was looking at my analytics of the podcast. US is the winner. United Kingdom coming second with about half as many views. The Republic of Moldova is third.
Yes, of course it is. Of course, that's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, Moldova's got to be there. Like, is Luxembourg in the top 5? It's got to be as well.
Wait, let me pull up the analytics for Singani, because like the Sambuca one got is like 570 views now. But if I pull up the analytics for Singani, which is on like 300 and something views, the audience is.
Such an expose. By the way, in my mind's eye, you're cutting lines of cocaine there, Chris. You just see you sort of busy doing something, and we're like,
oh shit, right. So this is fascinating, right?
Cool.
So Singani, the top amount of views, which is 15.9%, is from Ukraine, and the other amount of views, 7.8, is Russia. That's the last 90 days. If I change that to, and gender is, I don't know, it gives a shit, but lifetime. But yeah, so it's like 10.7% is the United States, 10.1% to Ukraine, 6.6 for US Kingdom, 4.9 for Russia, and then the other stuff is like anyone else around the world. And then like with our Sambuca one, it's like got like 570 views now. And I remember shooting that video, and I had only had like 2 hours sleep. I think I'd come straight from work to shoot that one.
Right.
Was that one? No, that was the other one.
No. Because I remember, I think, what was the one that was really like the rain was coming in? I think that might have been
Monkey Shoulder.
When we did Monkey Shoulder whiskey, literally the roof was like leaking, and you had got onto the roof just before we were shooting the video, and put a tarpaulin on like a bloody window, like a ceiling, like roof window thing. God, I can't talk. And so you had no shirt on, but you had like your jacket on, and you were like freezing cold. And this was like the start of like autumn, and you were like, "Fucking, let's just get through this because I need to get the fuck out here and go to London." Like straight after, and like it was like,
to cover something, or like to cover a shift for someone.
Yeah, but that got us the job with Monkey Shoulder's live thing, which was amazing. So, like, we didn't even put the things you put effort into sometimes don't work out, but the things you put bugger all effort into actually work out. And it doesn't make any. There's no textbook on it.
I'm looking at my analytics for the YouTube side now. And it looks like I only get 3 countries, which is the US, the UK, and Brazil. I might not be looking at this right, but it is interesting how to speak to like the appeal in terms of like engagement, like the long form videos don't get a lot of views. The most I've got is Mike Kaufman from Defiance, which is a thrash metal band. That's got 100 views. But the one where I made an effort, like the proof of concept video, which is the history of Roadrunner Records, The Great Cat, which is just like, all right, I'm going to spend half an hour talking about this particular artist, see if my PC can run this whole fucking show. 242, which is like way more than anything else. So it is interesting how the science of engagement is pretty compelling to me. Not to the point where I'd edit more, but it is like interesting.
I think it's like, to me, it's just the commitment of doing it. Like, you just do it for the sake of doing it, don't you? You just do it because you want to do it. I mean, totally. You look at the views and you want to be like, you do get a bit of enjoyment from when it's a decent video or a podcast. You know, when the views are there, you're like, great. I actually feel like I'm I've actually been, there's something coming back from it. But then at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It doesn't necessarily matter. It's there for you. And then but it's nice. It's just a nice thing on top to be like, oh, this video's done well. I think the video that we released today, I was a little bit gutted because you can see, annoyingly on YouTube, you can see how it ranks in comparison to the other videos in the last like 28 days. And you're like, oh, this is currently on 7th. And then you look back at an hour's time or whatever when you're on the toilet and you're like, oh, it's dropped down to 8th. Oh no.
I watched it, guys.
No, but it's just one of the things. Like, you're like, but then I wasn't expecting anything with the Fireball video that we talked about. But then that was like number 1, and I was like, nah, that's bullshit. It's like,
it's bad. Like, in 2 weeks, it's gone like to 700 views, and we're like, oh my god, it's got 100 views in a day. Like, it's just like, if you don't look at it for 2 days, then you refresh the YouTube Buddy or whatever this app you're using, it'll be like plus 80 views. You're like, fuck me.
I don't know what it is, man. I think it's. I don't know. It seems like maybe it's a self-assurance thing. I don't know, but I don't really know how to use the analytics. I'm pretty sure when I told you those 3 countries, I was fucking up that. I'm not bothered by the views. It's like, I think I know that I'm doing it for myself because it's so weirdly specific. It couldn't not be.
But you want people to hear it though, right? That's the idea.
To be honest, mate, in terms of like, it feels to me like, as much as I want people to hear it, I understand that no one's going to hear it until it's somewhat complete and there's a narrative to be struck. However, I did get a DM from Herman Lee from Dragon Force the other day saying, good job on like this particular thing I did. And I was like, well, that's like, I couldn't get more validation than that.
That's awesome. It
was like 3 in the morning. He's in LA. And it was just like, oh, I've just seen your interview with Mike Gibb. I signed it.
Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's awesome, man. But that's like,
I mean? It's just shit like that.
That's great.
That's the thing though, because there's so many questions I have because the label itself, it sort of has that such a special place for me. There's so many really specific questions I have about how do I put this? Right. So music does not have an inherent value, right? It's only valued at what people pay for it. Therefore, when a label comes out of nowhere and takes this fringe thing called metal and makes it commercially viable and makes a lot of fucking money doing it, it's alchemy. It's alchemy. And these days, when most music is kind of algorithmically delivered to you, and in some cases algorithmically created, I'm not yearning for a particular, like, the day of the songwriter or the day of the singer, or whatever. I'm just trying to understand that particular vibe and that particular method of delivering music to the masses that was successful. It wasn't done by macro. It wasn't done by consensus. It was done by a team of people who just fucking love metal. And I want to unpack that and understand how it worked. And I think because that's so specific and it's such a weird little mission. It's such a weird mission. I don't care if it's got 1 view because it's going to be there in perpetuity. And it is there. It's the academic foundation from which we understand that thing and how it happened. And I think that's the driving factor. And obviously when Herman Lee DMs you, it's just like, oh, that's nice.
But like, if you're not doing this research and this bringing together of like sources, no one else is going to.
Apparently not. I mean, to be honest,
that's the thing.
I'm writing the book in the background, yeah, but I'm not going to release it because until certain people have retired and certain people give the blessing, because I don't feel it's I can tell you more off the record, because it's like the pedantic bits of it are like, it would be insincere to the project to release an unofficial history of Roadrunner Records, considering how many people have contributed and want to talk about it. It can't be unofficial. It has to be official, because everyone who was there are the ones that are propping this up. And that's just like my project at the minute. Once this is done, it'll be back to me talking shit with Raw every week. You know what I mean? And trying to find the secret metalhead.
I think it's just great. It's just great that you just sort of you sort of focused on this thing. I mean, it's just like, because it does, like when I was listening to the first part, I was like, Jesus, like this is like interesting. Like, gosh, it's been a while since I listened to it, but like just
dude, everything's wrong. For a start, everything's wrong. Yeah. That was me Googling it for 2 weeks. This new one is going to be a revamp of that first one, with actual interviews with bands and actual interviews with the people that were there. And it's like, it's fucking fascinating. What you think about it is, right, bands are cool, yeah? If you interview a band, you're interviewing a band, a guy that's been in the same band for 30 years. They have that experience. You've probably been part of that shared experience when you've been to a concert and things like that. You speak to someone from a label or someone who works in the industry, they've probably got a career path that spanned continents, genres, and acts. So like you can talk to Iron Maiden, they'll talk about Iron Maiden. But earlier I was speaking to Jim Salaby, who is the head of sales at Roadrunner, and he worked with Metal Church, Bon Jovi, Def Leppard, Typo Negative, Deicide, all these different things. It's like, for some reason I'm finding it more compelling. Give me 5 minutes with Bruce Dickinson, or give me 2 hours with Dream Troll. I'll take Dream Troll every time. You know what I mean?
I understand completely. Like,
yeah,
you get more scope on it.
Yeah, definitely. How are you guys getting on with your?
Oh man, I was enjoying. I actually opened up my second one.
Have you?
Yeah, I was like, damn, this is good. Like, it's just
move back to. I'm moving back to Trooper. I'm going to have 2 road crews.
I think I'm going to have a second road crew, man.
Okay.
I'm on the second road crew, and then I'm about halfway. Probably open up the other Trooper that I've got, and then afterwards it's the Overkill.
And do the palette comparison.
Pilsner version with Motorhead with cameras, which is the 40th anniversary edition.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh yes, Overkill.
So released March 24th, 1979, Overkill is the second studio album Motorhead released in 1979 and was listed among the 100 greatest heavy metal albums of all time. Of course it should be. Like, why would
I let you down on guests, by the way. I did reach out to a number of people, but I think because it was over Christmas, I just didn't get anything back.
It's Christmas, isn't it? Everyone's just like trying to figure their stuff out, because a certain someone decided to tell everyone that they couldn't go home for Christmas whilst they were on the motorway. Which is mad.
Yeah, I was planning on doing a nice little road trip to East Anglia to go see my parents, and that just fell through. So that was fun.
Yeah, I was like planned with my girlfriend to come for Christmas for like a week or something. We had everything planned. We had like, it was like all presents, like all this like booze bought and like food that we got to like, you know, to have together. And we're like, yeah, it's gonna be great. And it was like, nah. So proper shit. What you gotta do?
Yeah. It'll be back to normal at some point. I hope Bloodstock doesn't get cancelled though.
Oh, we're Glasgow cancelling, and then like Ultra Festival Miami cancelled, which is a huge house festival.
The operative word there is huge, though. Bloodstock, while big, is not scaled up like Glasgow.
Exactly. You know that, like, Reading and Leeds will be cancelled, and Download will probably get cancelled. Is Download still? Yeah. So like, yeah. So that would, like all the big ones would be cancelled, but the smaller ones would hopefully.
You want to wait for the private sector to kick in and go, right, we'll provide vaccines to ticket holders. That's where you're going to get some money. It's not, I'm not saying it's conscientiously sound. But
like, just be like, open all the pubs with no rules and stuff for a night, and then just put the vaccine in everyone's drink.
Yeah.
Like in the port scratchings. But there was I saw the image a long time ago, and I saw it again today. Was the Flaming Lips had the concert where they're all in the Zorb Bulls, and like that would happen like at the start of like the pandemic, like in America, when they finally realized that it was a thing. And then I just saw it on BBC News again, and I was like that'd be like the worst sort of. Imagine being in a Zorb Bowl, like in that massive beach ball thing in a concert, and you'd be like, you're in the middle of it, and you're like, this is great. Oh, crap, I really need to go for a piss. Oh, shit. And you're like just clambering over like people.
I think like did the band like jump on them or something? Like the
band were in it as well, so the lead singer was literally in the crowd. But because everyone's spaced out, the crowd is only like about 20 people. So it's like, I don't know.
I quite like not being I don't like not being at a gig, but I'm not going to do one of these Zorb gigs. I'm not going to do any socially distanced gigs. The first gig I'm going to go to is like some fucking dirty rotter punk gig or something like that, because I think it's like if you've been celibate for 3 months, the first time you have sex and then you hear ringing in your ears. It was that much of a release. I think it's a similar principle. I think we're all going to go to like a gig or something, and it's going to be fucking insane because everyone's going to be just like.
I want to go to a gig where I get my nose kicked in. I want to be covered in blood and beer by the end of it, like, you know. And I want Ali or my girlfriend pulling me out, and be like, "You're right," but like, just shove a tampon up my nose, don't give a shit. Like, just fucking go for it. None of the socially distanced shit where it's like, oh, like that was really nice. Like, well done. Oh, look at you. You play the guitar.
I just want to get to the gay bars. I want to get to the gay clubs, and it's like, and I want to get to the gigs as well. I think I've never really like living in Southampton. There's not any great gigs here.
We got the Joiners.
Yeah, but you have something which is like the O2 Guildhall, which will have like
that place sucks.
Well, yeah, but you have like people like Royal Blood there. You have C6 Steve. You have people like Steps as well there as well. So you have it's just your generic like mainstream stuff. Do you know what I mean? But you can still get like I wouldn't mind rocking out. I love C6 Steve and I love like Royal Blood.
I do want to see Ball and Pursuit. They come down there a lot. Ball and Pursuit fucking go and play O2 Guildhall like loads. Like
dude. Yeah,
the lead singer. Have you seen what has happened to the lead singer of Bowling Pursuit?
He's been out for a long time.
Mate, he is as big as the fucking guitarist now.
They're playing Scarborough.
I was watching Kerrang last night because like Scuzz no longer fucking exists.
No,
Scuzz
is gone.
Is Kerrang still on TV?
Kerrang's still on TV. It was like Metal Hammer, and then that went, and then it like went to Scuzz, and Scuzz is now gone. And now it's just Kerrang when it comes to like all the
Kerrang is no longer a magazine though, so I guess that's where they make the money.
Oh, Kerrang! They still got radio, haven't they? Up north, they still got radio FM up north.
Not up north, not that I've seen.
When did the Kerrang magazine end? Oh fuck, I don't know.
Years ago. We need to get fucking Bees on here. Mosh Talks Bees, who's like the journal that just written for all these people. He'll be able to give you a summary of the UK metal fucking media.
I remember going and buying Kerrang, like it was like my favourite fucking magazine and stuff. They had like this, like you go and you get all the posts and stuff. Like my bedroom wall was just covered in Kerrang posters and stuff. Absolutely great. And you get the shitty compilation CDs of bands who haven't been signed yet.
Which we now like revere and miss. Yeah, like the other ones with some 41 on it and stuff.
You'd get the CD and it would be like their number 2s. It wouldn't be their number 1 hits. It'd be like Foo Fighters, and it would be like some really random song. You'd be like, I'd never even heard this. What is this? But they'd be like, yeah, Foo Fighters is included. And they'd be like, oh yeah, Guns N' Roses. You'd be like, yeah, from the Spaghetti album, which was like the worst thing in the world. You're like, no, like this is they would definitely catch like.
But occasionally, they were really good at putting together cover albums. So for the 20th anniversary of Master of Puppets, Kerrang put out remastered Master of Puppets, which was every song on Master of Puppets coded by a different band.
I did not know that. I did not do that.
There was occasionally shit hot stuff.
I never realized they did that. I just liked the interviews that they did on the magazines, and it would just be like the hypes of the albums coming out as well, so the reviews as well, because this was before. Like I remember watching it before Facebook and any social media. Kerrang magazine was the thing that you bought when the new Biffy Clyro album came out, because there's probably about 16 of them now.
Yeah,
it's just like I remember. It's just like you just be like, what rating have they given them? I'm gonna buy it now. That's why
You go to HMV or WHS to go buy Kerrang.
Yeah, because like if it wasn't Kerrang, it was Enemy, and then Enemy even still sucked as well. It wasn't really. Huh?
Q magazine. It was like kind of rocky.
Q, yeah. No, but Q magazine to me would always like bring up like an old artist. So it'd be like, I was like, oh look, it's Eric Clapton, and you'd be like, great, what's he done? Nothing. But he's here in the studio, and you're like, oh.
It's a retrospective.
Hammer was a magazine, like Hammer Metal Gods. That was
yeah. That was my magazine. That one
was like the posh version of Kerrang.
Oh, really?
It was always more expensive.
It was always more expensive, but they were pretty. The line was definitely firmly drawn. There wouldn't be any My Chemical Romance or anything like that in there.
Really?
Always...
So the death to me of the Kerrang like TV station was when they started playing like Eminem and like Beastie Boys, and I like Beastie Boys and Eminem, not so much. But when they started playing rap, like, and I was like, no, like they honestly would play like stuff like that, and you'd be like, okay.
Who were they playing last night? They were playing some fucking people last night where we were like, this is not Kerrang. They played like Vampire Weekend, and they also played like.
Oh really?
They played Maximo Park, and it was just like.
That's indie. That's indie stuff. That's not rock.
Like Gossip can sort of toe the line.
No.
But like to be honest, like that's like at 2 a.m. they can toe the line.
Yeah, but like, As if it was something heavy like Mosquito or something like that. But like there's limited stuff.
We played like
Vampire Weekend. Well, Oxford, like no Oxford, comma. Get the fuck. Like, I'm all right. The man is literally talking about punctuation. I'm like, I'm good at that.
No, thank you.
What's next for I was gonna say what's next for Pump Room outside of the impeached?
World domination and slags.
What you say?
World domination and slags.
I'm on board.
We've got like a couple of things like that. We've got a Midori video that we need to shoot, but we need to. I'm waiting on someone to be able to come to the Pump Room to come shoot that video with us. I think I was talking to Ali's Day, and we were saying like how I was talking about I've got like a little road trip idea, which would be good to film because Ali's getting a CBT this year.
Nice.
So he can drive motorcycles.
Well, my 18-year-old car is still yet to pass its MOT in the next month. I doubt it will, and financially, I'm not great at the moment. So getting a motorbike seems like the best option. Yeah, let's do it. But no, I've always wanted a motorbike, and it's just like I think anybody who's growing up like wanting to ride a motorbike, it's just, like your parents or your other half is like, you're just gonna kill yourself, you're just gonna die, and I'm like, that's great, thanks. like yeah, but the risks are there regardless if you're on a motorbike or if you're in a car. Christ, what's the difference? I'm always. How many videos are you guys putting out a week? It's
one at the moment.
It's just one now.
One without fail though.
Yeah. Like, but I think because I'm still going into work occasionally, furloughed still, like just to do maintenance. But when we had that after the second lockdown to the third lockdown in December, I was working like 4 days a week, and it was just difficult to do that. And then Cress, you were still like, I think, going into work anyway because it was like substantial meals within pubs.
Fucking hot dogs.
So it was difficult to do 3 videos a week when you were both working. And to me, it was like I would go home from work, edit, get up in the morning, edit, go to work, go home, edit. And like I just didn't have a life, and I was literally struggling big time. So concentrating on 1 video a week now and just doing the best we can, really.
Yeah,
do you have is it out Monday without fail?
Yeah, it's out Monday without fail before noon. Like, I think we realised that we need to start putting out, instead of like oversaturating people's news feeds and just like coming up with like loads of ideas, it'd be like, hey, like I went to the toilet and like I think we should do this. Like it's we're kind of trying to refine it a lot more and sort of have more of an idea and figure out like sort of like our dynamic, because like it's because I'm presenting, like Ali needs to be like in the show as well, and also presenting like, and like we bounce off each other so well.
Yeah.
So if it's me behind the camera, me behind the camera, whatever, like Ali put in this week's show, like him having like an inner monologue. Like, it's just fucking great.
Well, it's funny, it's going in on your face and going, why does she always fucking do this?
Yeah, exactly. but then, like, every time we do the show, we learn something new. And like I said, we always just do it for fun. And the best way I describe it to people is like, it's the Wayne's World of cocktails. We're just having a laugh and we're just having some fun and we don't care. It's not like we've like the brand that we've got coming up with like Real cocktail purees is like kind of not taking the piss of it, but we're sort of having a joke with it because we're not getting paid for it. I think what they did was they gave us 4 syrups out of the 1,500 that they've got. And I was like, cool. And it's like, what we did? Like we did the video and we took the piss out of them. What was it? Fernet. So we did Fernet Branca, which is this Italian spirit, and it's like over 200 something years old, and it's disgusting. But we still did it, and we said it was disgusting. We're like, because we're not getting paid for this, like we just do it because why not?
It's better to have like a backlog of videos than it is to be frantically trying to get 3 out a week. I mean, I think a few weeks ago I managed to get enough edited. I think it was a lot of my December interviews I managed to edit, and I got them all out in a week in January. And I was like, you know what I should have done? I should have done 1 a week, but I should have got the episode, like the chats with Raw, just do those every Tuesday like normal, and then maybe put the interviews out on a Friday, and then just have a backlog. Because now I've got like 4 interviews on the backlog, which I've not touched because I'm too busy doing the video for the History of Roadrunner stuff. But at the same time, though, I'm also like, I'm not trying to do this algorithm. I'm not trying to hit a pace. I'm not trying to. Barely anyone listens. I've got 22 subscribers, and I'm fucking ecstatic over that. However, it's not done to a rhythm.
But don't worry. Like to me, I still don't feel that like no matter how many subscribers we have, I will still only think there's only about 5 people watching. That's all I feel. Like I don't feel like it's anything major. It's just me, Chris, and our friends that are watching these videos. That's all I feel like, and that's all. Like that's why I make the videos. Like that's why I sort of target it towards is just my friends.
So why worry about the Monday then?
Well, the Monday, I think it's just if I said to myself, it can come out whenever it's ready, then I wouldn't get it done. But like. You see me on a Saturday, Sunday, and I'm frantically like rendering video and editing it and pulling out any hair I have left and just trying to do it. And my husband's like, just be like, oh, you just need to relax. I'm just trying to fuck off. Like, I need to do this. like I need to get this done. And like, it's just, it's a nightmare. But that's the thing. Like you've got to get used to putting out continuously, because
like, you never know if you're gonna fucking strike gold with it, really. And also, like we just hate wanky bartenders who pretend that they're God's gift with all these fucking ingredients. And like, me and Ali are like, yeah, we like this. Let's put it in this. Like, fucking tastes great. Fuck you with your shit Negronis and your fucking drinks that taste bitter as fuck.
We grew these hops on the roof of the pub that it's been poured out of. All that shite.
I'm desperate for the toilet. Heading off quickly. I'm also going to wee after Ali.
That's fine. That's acceptable. I'm going to hold it in. I've been sat cross-legged for long enough now. I think I can hold it in.
That's the thing about it. It just fucking goes through, But like, I think on the pump, like, we really want to hit some nails and get to a place. Definitely, there is that like little there is that determination to go and make it a big thing. But I also like, I know that Ali's a lot more cautious about it in a way where he's like, I'm not going to pretend like it's going to happen. Like,
don't set an expectation.
I won't be disappointed, But it's definitely opened some doors for us.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because
we can lead to a dive bar, to be honest. Like, we'd like to fucking have our own dive bar in place.
That'd be cool.
People who like fucking ride motorcycles and love metal and stuff, but also people who love a really fucking good drink and like shooting there too.
I'd love to see your logo hanging on like the hanging sign.
I know, right? Like it'd be like a fucking. It would look great as a hanging.
You could
sign.
actually. You've already got like a pump. You could just spray it, and like make it yourself.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
We've got like some we've got some signs as well. We've got like some big wooden signs.
Yeah.
And like we've always been like, oh, maybe we'll hang one of the signs outside the door of Pump Room. But my parents are like, oh yeah, you're gonna get robbed, so like don't fucking show anyone where the bar is. There's
a place in Halifax where I grew up called the Pump Room. Old building. This is the thing about Halifax. It's a beautiful. When I grew up there, I thought it was a shithole, but now that I don't live there anymore, I kind of revere it a bit more because it's an old industrial town. It used to be like the richest town in the world. Everything there's grade 2 listed buildings, and the Pump Room, I think, must have been like the one that wasn't. But it's a lovely pub, and it got knocked down. And people used to go onto the site and nick all the bricks, and you just see pictures on Facebook of people making their own home bars out of the bricks from the Pump Room as like a tribute. Yeah. But nothing was safe from that building site.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. This building site, and nothing is safe, you know. Like, I was walking down the street the other day, and I look at like sort of places where it shows that it used to be like an old pub, but it's now like a really like nice little flat or a house.
Yeah.
There's me thinking, fuck, like, you know, if I ever got the hold of a pub and managed to turn it into like my house or something, I'd probably keep the fucking bar in it.
But I think I think beer and pub drinking culture is going to change a lot after lockdown. I think it's going to change because a lot of people have missed it, and they've missed that community, and they've missed that sense of being together in one. You know, once you bring live music back, and once you bring things like that to the pub atmosphere, like one of the things that I enjoyed a lot when I was a student at Dundee University was that you would have like a live band. We'd say a live band every week, like every Tuesday or something like that. But literally, it was just a bunch of people would get together with guitars, like acoustic instruments. It was an Irish bar, so you'd have all the like Irish instruments, a lot of acoustic guitars, a lot of like hand drums and stuff like that, and you just jam. And I think you're going to get a lot of that back in now, where it's a case of like, bugger it, we're just going to have a lot of fun because we can now. You know, it's like if you look at what the Spanish flu was 100 years ago. And then you had the roaring, like 1920s and stuff. I think it's going to be the same thing. Like a lot of people are going to be like, I'm going to drink. I'm going to go to the gigs. I'm going to do a lot of drugs. People are going to be like, I'm going to have a lot of sex. There's going to be a lot of promiscuousness. That's the word? Yeah, that's the one. And, you know, I think that's just going to be the case now. It's just that a lot of people are going to be like, well, you know what, bugger it. Because I think, unfortunately, we've been stuck a lot in our homes. Even before lockdown, was a lot of things was like you just watch TV inside, you know, like go, you know, internet and stuff like that. And you wouldn't go out as much because it was
when the rug's been lifted from under you this much, and it has been for nearly a year now. All of a sudden, when things go back to normal, the stakes will drop, I think is what you're trying to say. So all of a sudden, the nice way like I might just save that 20 quid actually. You actually know I'll buy some 10 in a super and then I'll go out.
God, the old super. No, like I think you would. Sorry, it's my dog. I think you would like just be like, you know what, bugger it, because who in our generations has got savings really? I mean, who's got the security nowadays? You realize how much it can go so quickly. So either you can go two ways. Either you can be like, I'm going to be frugal and I'm going to save as much as I can, or I'm just going to live my life because fuck it. You know, unfortunately, people are already on that second one right now when it comes down to masks and mandate, you know, things like that, where they're literally gone, you know what, I don't care about this virus anymore. I'm just going to live my life. And that's unfortunately, you're a little bit too soon on this one. You need to wait a couple of months or a year before you can start being like all about you.
It's an easy, I mean, like, not to patronize people who think that way, it is an easy answer to a difficult question. And it's like, I mean, to patronize them, maybe like, oh, it's not about you. And it's, people don't accept that as an answer. You know what I mean? So
I don't want to say that's the right or the wrong thing to do, but I'm just saying it's in like for health benefits and stuff like that, maybe it's better just to put a mask on. That's all I'm saying.
It's not fucking hard to put a fucking mask on.
No.
Yeah, some people deserve to do that. I'm prettier with a mask on, you know. Than, you know.
But also, like, people are like, oh, I can't put a mask on because this, that, and other. I'm like, cool, you put a fucking face visor on then.
Oh, I put a bandana. I do the bandana
Yeah,
thing.
bandana's great.
Bandana on. I just want to pretend to be an outlaw back in, like
the West.
Westerns. Yeah, just to be like on a train and stuff like that. But then I've got like lazy eye and stuff like that. They'd be like, "Who are you robbing? I have no idea who you're looking at." I'll be like, "It's you over there."
That's the secret. You don't know if you're safe.
Hello. Bums against the wall. Alley's here.
Oh my god. So like, who do we think wins out the beers, man?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yes.
Because the problem with this premise is that we gave a very open scoring threshold. So we just like, I think Motorhead has some sort of like. First of all, let's talk about the label. I like the simplicity and that there's a sort of purity to the label. It's very on brand, and it's sort of uncompromising in the way it's delivered, in the same way that the band is exactly the same. And you could say the same thing about Trooper. Trooper is, in terms of the label, they're a very dynamic and theatrical band, and that's demonstrated through the label. But it kind of depends on what you like. I mean, in terms of taste, as I said, I stick by the previous comments. In terms of Trooper, it's a session beer, and if you're that kind of drinker, it'll be your cup of tea. I think the Road Crew is a session beer, it's a smashing beer, but it's not a smash. What was the term? Smashable. Smashable. But to a lesser extent, I think. But how do I allocate points to that? First of all, let's agree. Let's just do out of 10. But let's talk about it first.
I'll write mine down. It's out of 10. Jesus, that's a big mark. Christ.
Well, the Trooper, yeah.
Both, whoever, because we'll all add them up.
Oh man, like Smashability for me is like fucking 9 out of 10.
The priority.
No, 9 out of 10 for Road Crew, and like I'd say like a 7 for Trooper.
9 out of 10 for Road Crew for you, yeah. Okay. And then what was it for Trooper?
7. A polite 7, I'm sure.
It's a polite 7.
So how are we doing this? Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm confused now. I thought it was just generally just out of 10 for the whole beers, or is it just smashability?
Oh no, it's your scoring systems are your own. Chris's priority, I just illustrated, is smashability.
I feel like my one should just literally be on graphics and illustrations because that's my background, and I'm gonna say like it's an 8 out of 10 for like appearance and general ability for Motorhead Road Crew.
Oh, really?
It's 8 out of 10, definitely. Like it's a great beer, and like the design of it is phenomenal. It's just like black and gold and silver. What like, colors of badassness, and it's just a really simple design. It's just lovely. Like in comparison to the Trooper, yeah, it's got Eddie on there. It's got the font style. Motorhead's got its own font style. This has got its own font style. The Iron Maiden one, unfortunately, to me, just seems a little bit too tacky. I think that's only because I've seen it in Lidl. And we talked about with Trooper was that it's so accessible that you kind of lose that ability there. We were trying to find this Motorhead, weren't we? This Road Crew.
You're completely absolutely right.
We were struggling, and I had to order it in, and I got a next day delivery, and I was like, this is phenomenal. And of course, yeah.
They were really good at it. Like,
yeah,
if I got straight to us.
If I spent a little bit more, I would have got free delivery. I definitely would have. But because you haven't gone down to Lidl or Warsons and bought it, you then enjoy it more because you're like, I fucking just paid a ton for not a ton, but I've paid for delivery. I'm going to enjoy this. But in regards to just general thing, for me, the design of it, the taste of it, I'm going to say that Road Crew is an 8 out of 10 and Trooper is a 6. It's not bad. It's not amazing, but I will go for it. 6 out of 10 for me.
I think I agree with everyone on everything because I'm that kind of person. But I mean, as a Maiden fan, one thing I really like is seeing like Maiden references make their way into like literally high street shops. That's No Prayer for the Dying front cover, but obviously adapted. But at the same time, as you say, I'm trying to find the appropriate analogy for Trooper. It's the fucking ITV of beers. It's everywhere, and it's this accessibility sort of like undermines its what's the fucking phrase? It's special because you want a beer to be special. On the other side of it, like more as you say, we had to look for it, and once you look for it and you found it, you find this really well packaged, really kind of uncompromising. The uncompromising sensibility of the label and the association with the brand makes it feel a lot more special. But when you see Trooper, even though I'm a massive Maiden fan, and even though I like seeing No Prayer for the Dying on the high street shelves, it's so accessible that it kind of dilutes that. It just dilutes it. It doesn't feel like it's for metalheads. It feels like it's for the average consumer, which isn't a bad thing at all, but it doesn't make me feel special.
But I wouldn't. My dad's a massive Maiden fan. I wouldn't buy him this beer because it's a great beer. I'd buy this beer because it's a Maiden beer. That's, to me, is how I look at it, because I don't feel like it's. I feel like it's just a namesake for it. And I love Iron Maiden. I absolutely adore the band. You know, it's just like, but this is what we're going to look at throughout this series, is that you've got bands putting themselves out in a beer aspect. They're going to lose some of their, not integrity, but they lose some of their sort of thing, you know. I can't get words out.
You're looking for the same word I'm looking for.
Authenticity? I don't know if that's the word.
People have a very, especially with bands, people have a very special and a very, very personal bond with bands. Everyone, you're nostalgic for it for various different reasons. I'm nostalgic for Motorhead for different reasons than I'm nostalgic for Maiden. And so when I seek out that feeling of going to see Motorhead for the first time in 2006 in a field in Germany, once I've taken the journey to find this beer, it feels like the payoff. But you get what I mean? The frugality, the scarcity makes it more important, I think, is the thing I'm trying to get at.
Absolutely. Like, when you can't get hold of something, you're going to want it more, aren't you?
Exactly. And with Trooper, as much as I love it, its accessibility dilutes that nice special relationship with the band. Not in a bad way at all. The thing, but it's worth taking away from this conversation, and I'm sure you all agree, is Maiden are going to make a lot more money from us in this particular retail space over our lifetimes than Motorhead. Probably, because we could buy this casually. But I think for the same reasons you guys stipulated and what I've tried to articulate further, I'd say Road Crew's a solid 8 out of 10 and Trooper's a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, similar to me then.
Yeah. It loses out on that kind of like peripheral, meaningful feeling.
Well, do you remember, like, when, I think everyone's had this when they're growing up, they've heard the band first and then they become mainstream, and then you're like, no, I knew the band before they were cool, and you sort of have that aspect of it. And I feel like because Maiden has been shipped out so far and so fast, you then lose it, because everyone's like, you have people who don't even know Iron Maiden, they'd be like, yeah, it's a really good beer, and you'd be like, damn, you don't know the band or anything like that. And that's, I think, this thing that sucks. But then when it comes down to the Road Crew, you're going to have it less, so it kind of like makes it more authentic. I don't know. It's
always been relatively obscure that you've never had that problem.
Yeah.
And Trooper does not live in relative obscurity. And there's metalheads that like to reach the fringe to get our rocks off. It's difficult to align yourself with this as a brand and as a product. We've gone into the ethics of it. It's smashable, but it also doesn't quite have the height of the flowery tones of the Road Crew. I think it's a good middle of the road beer. If you're going out and getting smashed, if that's the kind of drink you are, Trooper's probably the one for you. But I've got to represent the whole spectrum of my drinking career, which is sometimes I like just having a beer, sometimes I like to get shit faced, and in that capacity, I think Road Crew covers both of those.
Yeah, it really does. It's like I could have a road crew, like one road crew, and be like, yeah, this is lovely. But I could have like 10 road crews and like shit in my knickers and like throw up everywhere and be like, this is also great.
Have you ever said shit in your knickers as like an exclamation? Like you found out the fucking taps aren't working. I fucking shit in my knickers. That's a great phrase. That's phonetically satisfying and
I think my
and
favorite
demonstrates like.
Oh yeah, the severity of it.
Yeah.
Shit in your knickers. I think my favorite phrase is it's all shits and giggles until someone giggles and shits.
That is the best one. I've heard you say that a lot.
There's a band I mixed live, and they had a bit after a certain song when they go, all right, find us on Facebook and that, and they say, make sure you tag and share, but don't shag and tear.
Oh my god, that's brilliant. We're using that.
Yeah, we're stealing that.
Dude, put it in the end of your videos. I'll tag the guy in it.
Yeah. Dude, that's amazing.
Yeah. Shitting my nick is the sort of thing, when you're watching dash cam footage and like someone comes out in front of someone. I can picture like watching some dash cam footage and hearing the driver go, shitting my nick, and that's what happened.
It's like have you ever looked at like British dash cam videos in comparison to Americans, and it's just like the British one's like, oh, you fucking wanker. Like it's not as like gripping. In America, it's like, holy shit, and you like in America, it's just like, you fucking. Oh, you fucking didn't. And it's just like, it's like the British thing of like, you went the wrong way on a roundabout is like the most like absurd thing in the world, and you're like, oh my god, it's just amazing. It's just so good.
And what were our scores again, Ali? What was yours for Road Crew? You used 6 and 8, weren't you?
Yeah, it was 8 for the Road Crew, and then 6 for the Trooper. Lock them in.
Chris, you were
7 for the Trooper, 9 for the Road Crew.
Cool. Road Crew wins with a sum of 25, and Trooper loses by a mere sum of 20. Congratulations.
I will be comparing other beers to Trooper. Trooper is now my standard, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Trooper
is like, it's not, that didn't drop below 5. You know what I mean? Like, that is a good score.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's not a bad score. It's not like I've gone, this is a horrible beer. It's more like, I don't like to put, like, for Crest to put Road Crew as 9. I'm like, I don't know, like, because there's always room for improvement, but you cannot be like, 10s to me don't exist. You know, like you know, I mean, it has to be phenomenal on all accounts.
Well, you said 10s don't exist.
Chris,
I'm an 11.
I was being facetious, but is smashability your priority? Is that your priority characteristic?
I love a good beer, and like, I'm never gonna like, obviously like, the design's fucking cool and the bottle shape and all that kind of stuff is everything, but I'm never gonna be like, oh, I get notes of like grapes and sadness and shit. Like, fuck off. Like, a beer is a wonderful thing. The reason why a beer is a wonderful thing is if you have a hard day, you crack open a cold beer and you just go, fuck, this is what I needed. Or you go out and you have a nice cold beer, fuck, this is what I needed. It's hot as shit and like you're sweating profusely, but someone gives you a nice cold beer, that's what I needed. And you want to be able to sit there and smash them back. Smashability.
So why isn't Trooper higher on your record? Because the fact is that it's cheaper, it's easy accessible, it's there, it's on draft. All I'm saying is,
I prefer smashing the stacks. Like,
no, of course, but there's many factors involved in it. For me, it's all about the image and the authenticity of it. To look at these bottles and to be like, yes to this, yes to that, because that seems true to me. You know what I mean? I'm not having an argument with you. No. I'm just saying there's so many factors on this. So whatever we put down as a collective on these beers is not the be all and end all, but it's definitely a factor.
I also think this bottle looks really cool.
It does look cool.
It's the academic foundation. It matters. I think everything does matter. But Chris, as you said earlier in the call, what would you rather be surrounded by, passed out?
Yeah,
that's a factor. In the same sense as the label's a factor, and the girth is a factor. It's the presentation is very important as well, and for me, it kind of like it adopts that, you know how like especially in this last decade, like an overly minimalistic design style for a lot of like brand aesthetics. This kind of meets the middle ground. It's not pretentious. It delivers against the brand which it's representing really easily. and it's metal as fuck. Is that's the main takeaway. That's the sort of like ubiquitous takeaway from that. Whereas Trooper is malleable, it's marketed, it's delivered through a corporate mechanism in that sense, and I think that's where it kind of loses its. I'm going to bring the word back. That's where it loses its authenticity.
I would say that like Trooper is out of the two. Like, so like the Motorhead logo is an iconic fucking logo. Like it's iconic. Like everyone like the Warpig logo. But like this is an iconic rock beer. It's fucking iconic.
Yeah, but could the Trooper be done better?
If they named it the Pooper, I
no.
would.
No, but like I think that if you look at the Trooper, like if you look at Trooper and you look at Eddie, I think it could have been designed better. I think it could have been done in a more like a more badass way. This seems like the most minimum way. If you look at Motorhead, then yeah, that was done in like the best way that could possibly be done, because that is a hard one. You know, if you look at that logo on there, it's like it's still crisp and it's clean, and then you look at the Trooper and you're like, that sort of seems like, for me, if I was working in Adobe Illustrator, it's like, oh, someone's live traced that. That's pretty cheap and nasty done. But then the one on Motorhead, you're like, yeah, that's pretty clean and crisp. So for me, it's like, could the Trooper have been done better? Yes. The marketing for Trooper could have been done better, but this is what, 2015. It came in 2013.
13, I believe.
So yeah, so over 7 years old, and you're thinking that's done pretty well for what it is. That's done pretty well.
When you say they could have done well on the marketing, I disagree. They couldn't have done well on the marketing, which is why it's where it is. It's fucking the marketing, and if we're going to value it against units shipped, this knocks out of the park. This is the one that's
definitely
the most money. But in terms of our sensibilities, I agree. We could have made it more special.
But then what is when it comes down to music and bands, what is it come down to? Is it the loyal fans or is it the masses?
I know. What is the priority?
What is the priority on it? Do you need to make money or do you need to show authenticity? It's a difficult situation.
Yeah.
I don't think either of them really fucking need to make money because they're just such massive bands now. Because like Lemmy's no longer like funding his private Nazi collection.
Well, he's dead. He's dead. But yeah. Look, there's a lot of members of Iron Maiden. There's a lot of share going out there, isn't there? But no, of course, it's like it is just money. I mean, like if you know they put like you see Motorheads put stuff towards whiskey and what else was it? It was another.
They've even got wine, like Kiss,
so
fucking like Malbec or some shit like that. But like Motorhead has like a whiskey, they have a wine, they have a beer. I know Rolling Stones is like a wine, and they have like a whiskey as well. No, Rolling Stones is like Crystal Head vodka. They have a vodka as well.
I've got a Rolling Stones wine.
Yeah, the biggest whores when it's come to booze has been Rolling Stone. Like they are massive, they're just whores. But like, hoary logo.
It's difficult to attribute value against the intention of a particular beer, because while we're saying that Trooper sort of is almost done by committee and is delivered in a way which is it kind of loses, as I say, authenticity. At the same time, though, in terms of the spectrum, there could be people who are less privileged than us who can access this in little, and it's like, well, that does a lot more for metal than what Motorhead does in that situation. But and if you go Black Sheep Ale, Hobgoblin, Spitfire, Trooper, it's a toss up between Black Sheep and Trooper for me. If that's what he presented me with. Incidentally, this is the bar is fucking high here. When Trooper loses out on this particular running, it's not a bad thing.
No. This is always going to be the first one was always going to be the hardest one, and these are two bands and two beers which are different but also similar in the same time. You got a pale ale versus like I don't know what premium British is, but a British beer.
I think that's Brexit terminology before Brexit, isn't it? Really.
premium British.
It's Empire. It's like, Empire beer.
No, but it's like not so squint teeth. You know, it's like British. You know, it's like you're like, yeah, it's all right. You know, it's like pretty good. It's just I just feel like it's just call it a British beer. There's no premium on it. For goodness sake, you get 4 for £6.
It does say premium. That's just made it wanky.
I don't know. I think it's happy. I'm happy. I'm happy about the fact is that Motorhead's through and then Trooper isn't.
Yeah, I could drink Motorhead in another round. You know, like that's something I'm like, yeah.
Interestingly, I've heard Bastard's Lager is fantastic.
Is Bastard Lager on the website? Where do we find that one?
I don't know.
Oh my god, babes, we're in that issues in it.
I commend you for your relentless accent in that video, by the way. The Essex tart one.
It's based off a person, isn't it?
There is someone I based that accent off, and she's like, I love her. She's amazing.
I've met her.
Yeah. Did you meet her? Yeah, no, you have met her. You absolutely have met her.
She's
man, we're going to tell you.
Essex.
We're going to tell you about this over a beer, but like, she's like Essex through and through. It's insane.
I promise to come down when I can.
You got to, honestly, because it's just we once everything's all back up and running, get down in Southampton. So we'll do a day session in the pump room, and we'll go hit some drag up in Southampton.
Fuck yeah!
Yeah, we're gonna have a good time.
Shall we wrap it up there then, guys? Is there any more shit you want to shoot?
I just want to say, like, I really hope that everything goes well with the newborn.
Yeah, totally.
And like you do get some sleep, and that Christ, I'll send you some beers up or whiskey or something up because Christ, like this. My friend had a newborn last year, and just the sleep deprivation and all that jazz. It just sounds phenomenally bad.
You only go through it once or twice in your life, and then it starts steadying out. But the thing that's sort of like the material impact it's had recently is that I opted to do the Roadrunner thing and continue the Roadrunner thing because it was picking up momentum. I was getting guests who I originally wouldn't get, so I couldn't justify stopping. But as a result of that, my teeth are now stained yellow for the amount of coffee I drink. Like properly. Like if you saw me now, it's like offset against the rest of my pale skin. It's kind of weird. But with, I'd say as honestly and sincerely as someone who's like that is sort of fading into middle class obscurity and trying to find a bit more meaning in life. It's really good challenge to like just fire at all pistons, which is do the job, do the hobby, have the kids, and also look after yourself. Those are all the pistons. And I think the challenge of doing that is, I won't say fulfilling, but it's certainly informative, and I think it's worthwhile. So I appreciate your kind thoughts, and I'm happy to keep shouldering the challenge as it goes forward because it is fun, and kids are fun. I feel like my biological imperative to spread my festering seed has been accomplished. Now I have to move on to the next thing.
I'm just so happy that I chose.
That's your breeders.
I'm just so happy I chose to be gay. That's.
Me too. I'm happy that I chose the route of the fish.
Just the hatred compensates for the amount of sleep I have. I'm like, Christ. No, like honestly, fair play to you. Like, I would definitely love to be a dad. So I'm sort of slightly jealous, but also not at the same time.
Don't mind if you want.
Well, if I'll trade you a 4-pack of Trooper.
The loser.
And the loser. I won't. I was going to say something really bad, but I'm not going to do it now anyway. So I'm like,
hey, I got to say as well, this particular episode was not filled with the homophobia of the previous episode, so there'll be a lot less to edit. It'll be a lot easier. I mean, you made an absolutely cracking lesbian joke. I had to cut out. I can't remember.
Is that what you call a group of lesbians?
Don't do it. I don't have to edit.
I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, it was
a drama. A drama of lesbians.
No, that's nice.
That seems nice. Yeah,
that's quite nice. That's very Jennifer Saunders.
You haven't seen lesbian drama until you've been there. It is
No,
to like pick it up and throw it out of the bar.
Really? The first night when I was managing a gay bar, I had to almost dump tackle a drag queen because a lesbian snatched her wig, and when I dump tackled her, the whole makeup was on my shoulder, so like the face, the lips, the eyeshadow. So I had this like imprint of this like of this drag queen on my shoulder from when I like literally hit her with it. And like lesbians are normally the cause of fights at gay bars. When I used to run the gay bar in Southampton, we used to call it Fish Fridays because they were always out on Fridays.
Now, I'm not as so close to the LGBT community to understand if that's offensive or not.
Is it offensive, Chris? Well, you weren't even listening, so it's fine. Yes, absolutely fine. Lesbian nights. I used to call lesbian nights Fish Fridays.
They are Fish Fridays.
Yeah.
Fannies, like if you don't look after a fanny, it smells a bit fishy. Like I
know, and a penis is cheesy. So
yeah,
cheese penis.
Yeah. There's a fondue joke in there.
Fish and cheese.
Yes.
That's
fondue, you sir.
I think
you can call lesbian night Fish Fridays, just like you call like a gay night Wiener Wednesdays or some shit like that.
Ooh.
Wiener.
Penis Tuesdays.
If I ever came down to do an episode with you guys, which I hope I ever do, it'll be really remarkable because as a cis white heterosexual northern male, I would be the diversity hire.
Yeah, but you'd honestly get hit on so many times because the northern accent is like, I don't know, just because of Game of Thrones, everyone's like, ooh, you sound like you like gravy. They're going to be all over you.
There's two ways I introduce myself to Americans, and that's I'm from Old York. If I speak to New York, which I speak to fairly often, it's always I'm all from Old York, or I'm from Winterfell, because there's no other point of reference. Most of the time in the States, I get asked if I'm Australian, but that was before Game of Thrones, so maybe it's changed now.
People think I'm American here, and I don't blame them. So
you've got a strong R game. That's why.
R.
Yeah. When you enunciate your R's really sort of like casually and strongly. So that's like a very American thing.
I think is I grew up with too much TV, and I went to private school. I went to a boarding school. So. Right. We're off. Yeah.
Oh, we're off. Okay, cool.
Let's do it. All right. Thanks very much. I'll sorry, not Trooper. It's Trooper Losers. I'm sorry, Bruce and Rod and Steve and your dad. Congrats, Lemmy, to making it through to the next round. Making it through to the semis. All right, guys. Well, thanks very much for speaking to me for another 2 hours. I know I said let's try and do it for an hour, but I don't think that happens with us.
It was really great to chat to you, mate. Honestly, and just give us a text whenever, mate. Honestly, we'll do the next one. Sort out.
Hey, the next thing we got to do is figure out the supply lines and make sure that the stuff that the 50 quid me and Chris spent is actually going to get delivered.
We'll see, man. Fuck, I hope it does. Right. What's the best now?
Godspeed.
See you later, guys.